Hey, how's it going, everybody? I just got done with my workout, and geez, I am very much out of shape. I should not have taken those month and a half, 2 months of not working out, but I'll get back to where I used to be. Anyways, earlier I talked about The Alchemist by H.P. Lovecraft and did my own little review of it. And now I'm going to talk about At the Mountains of Madness, also by H.P. Lovecraft. I finished that yesterday. It's a novella written by him. So, came out back in 1930, I believe. So once again, if you have not read it, spoiler alert, okay? If you want to read it first, go ahead and do that and then come back here. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, At the Mountains of Madness is about a university expedition down to the Antarctic, where they go down there to explore and take samples of different rocks and geology and all that other scientific stuff. Well, this whole group ends up down there, and they were planning on heading to a certain part of the continent, but in one part of the story, one of the scientists, one of the professors from the university, ends up discovering a strange-looking fossil of a triangular print, like a footprint or something like that, from way back, I think before the Cambrian, pre-Cambrian times. So, of course, scientifically speaking, it's a huge, huge discovery, because in the real world, around that time, or especially pre-Cambrian, during the pre-Cambrian period, it was all nothing but different little bacteria and single-celled organisms that were alive back then. So, there's a change of plans and a large group goes back to where they discovered the fossil print, and they end up seeing these huge mountains that are taller than the Himalayas. And as they're exploring around there, they've got airplanes and dog sleds and all sorts of stuff. As they're exploring around there, these mountains, they have all these different strange, almost artificial looking formations of cubes and ramparts and all sorts of stuff. And the scientists are super excited because all of this stuff dates back to Cambrian times, when there really shouldn't be any advanced life forms on Earth. And as they're exploring around, they end up blasting a hole into a cave. And as they're exploring in this cave, there's all sorts of different fossils and stuff like that of all sorts of different animals. And they end up finding 14 very strange looking life forms. Now, I'm not going to get into a whole description of these things, because the book really gets into a very detailed description and I wouldn't do it justice. But the original group, they end up going radio silent for well over a day, and everybody else is starting to get worried. And so there's a second group that gets sent after to look for them. And when they get there, the entire camp and everything is just in complete ruins. Bodies of the scientists and the dogs are strewn about everywhere, and they're all torn up and everything. And these life forms, these strange life forms that they discovered, are buried in the snow upright with all sorts of strange dot stuff. all over the burial mounds. And well, one professor and a graduate student, the professor's name is Dreyer, him and the graduate student Danforth decide to get into a plane and fly up to the mountains and go through a mountain pass. And as they do that, they hear all of these strange musical sounding pipings and stuff like that coming out of all these different caves that are up in the mountains. So they clear the mountain pass, which is about 20-something thousand feet up in the air. And as they clear this, there's this huge, ancient, dead city that's frozen inside of the glacier that's up there. And so they're flying around trying to look for a spot to land. They end up landing and they start exploring this abandoned city. And as they're going through, they keep finding all of these murals and bas-reliefs that end up telling the story of the creatures that the first group had found. Now, these murals and bas-reliefs and everything tells the entire history of this group of creatures that are called the Elder Things. So it tells of how they came to the earth. At first they were living underwater and then moving to land. And there's a part there where they end up getting into a big war against Cthulhu and all of the great old ones and everything. And just a lot of stuff happens because their history spans about 1 billion years. So they keep exploring, and they end up seeing that the Elder Things, once the Ice Age started, had gone underground to this vast underground lake. And so Dyer and Danforth, they decide to go and explore around and everything, and they're also looking for one man and one dog from the original group that was unaccounted for. So they're poking around and everything, and they find equipment from the campsite that had been taken by the Elder Things, and in one of the sleds that the Elder Things took, they find the body of the man and the dog. So instead of getting out of Dodge, they decide to go further, and they run into these big albino 6-foot-tall blind penguins that had just been living in this cave and underwater system, hence the reason why they're blind, kind of like those blind cave fish and such. They keep exploring around, and then they find more bodies of the Elder Things. And the bodies of these Elder Things, they're decapitated and covered in this nasty slime stuff. Well, just about then, they notice a very peculiar smell that is different from the Elder Things. And it turns out that there's this big mass, black purplish mass called a Shoggoth that the Elder Things had first engineered and created in order to use as labor and some other stuff. Well, during their history, the Shoggoths rebelled, and the Elder Things were able to get the upper hand in that slave revolt, for the lack of a better term. But eventually, it seems that the Shoggoths kind of wiped out the Elder Things. So who knows how many Elder Things are actually still around there. But anyways, this giant Shoggoth chases after Dyer and Danforth, and Dyer and Danforth barely escape with their lives. They get very, very lucky, and they're able to get out. And well, they go back to the plane in order to leave, and off to the west of where they are, there are mountains that are even taller than the mountain range that they passed. And the Elder Things were very, very frightened of ever going over there and kind of shunned it. And well, Danforth is the one flying the plane, and he's pretty shook up, so Gyre takes over the controls of the airplanes, and that allows Danforth to look back towards the west, and he just starts freaking out because of something out there that he had seen. And it eventually drives him insane. Now, I believe what he saw over there was Yog-Sothoth, one of the great, I think Yog-Sothoth is a great old one. But anyways, Gyre, during this whole thing, he's trying to prevent another expedition from going down there, because Gyre thinks that there are just some secrets in this world that are best left untouched. And I would probably have to agree with Gyre. So, that's a very basic overview of At the Mountains of Madness. Now, I preferred this story a lot more than The Alchemist. I much rather prefer kind of the slow mystery, and it's a much better. I feel like Lovecraft did a much better job at making a plot twist, because at first the Elder Things are kind of portrayed as these, evil, merciless beings that just slaughtered the entire camp. But really, when you think about it, I mean, so to go back to it before I get too far ahead of myself, the first group, when they break into that cave, end up finding 14 of these Elder Things. And 6 of them, I believe, were already dead, mashed, crushed, that sort of thing. And the rest of them were in pretty good shape. So one of the professors takes one and starts dissecting it and stuff like that. What he didn't know is that that one was alive, I guess, in some sort of frozen hibernative state. And so the other ones wake up, and then they end up killing everybody, either out of self-defense or maybe some other motive. But I mean, put yourself into their shoes for a moment. If you're just chilling out in a cave, sleeping, next thing you know, you wake up and one of your buddies is being dissected by these weird-looking creatures to you. Pretty sure that you would fight back too. So I kind of like that that the Shoggoths are kind of the bad guys in this story, the ones that are a lot more merciless and murderous. But anyways, I also kind of like the fact that there's this hidden mystery off to the west of these really tall mountains, and there's just something out there that is so horrible and so bad that just looking at it drove Danforth into an asylum. I kind of like that whole mystery of things. I don't know what you guys think about it, but I don't really like it when all of the mystery of something is revealed, because then it kind of takes the unknown out of it, the fear out of it. Because once you know and understand something, then it's not nearly as scary. I mean, when you think about stuff that's scary to you, or at least to me personally, being out in the middle of a forest, a deep, dark forest, is a lot less terrifying than being out in the open ocean and having no idea what's underneath you. You know what I mean? So that's that's kind of the mystery sort of thing, sort of aspect that I liked out of it. Now, I'm going to be doing, let's see here, sorry, just needed to get out of this guy's way. Ah, crap. Okay, anyways, the next story that I'm going to be listening to is called Azathoth. I believe that's going to be the first time that I've listened to Azathoth. Now, this is the second time that I've listened to At the Mountains of Madness. Like I've said, there's a few Lovecraftian stories that I have listened to before, that one being one of them. And so far, that one and Shadow over Innsmouth are probably my two favorites at the moment. And then, of course, Call of Cthulhu is a good one, too. But, yeah, so that's kind of my overview and my review of At the Mountains of Madness. I'm sure that you've noticed all of this haze. I just got outside of Redding, California. I'm heading on I-5 north towards Portland, and all of this haze is smoke. There's some pretty bad forest fires up here, so yeah, it's pretty bad, isn't it? Kind of makes a little bit of an appropriate backdrop for talking about something like H.P. Lovecraft. This kind of gives a little bit of an apocalyptic feel. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, I will be listening to Azathoth and making another video based on that. And like I said in my last video, I'm going to try to get everything figured out with editing and thumbnails and stuff like that a little bit better, and try to get a little bit better of a setup before I actually start vlogging my day. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope that you all have a wonderful day.